So far, this is the basic setup that we've been using throughout the course. So in section 1, we had a single AWS account, we deployed CloudTrail Lake, and then we also had S3 that was storing data from a CloudTrail trail. So we ingested data from the trail, and then we continuously ingested data from events through that event data store. We also deployed Identity Center, and through that, we created multiple different permission sets that we deployed as roles, again, within this single AWS account. When there was an incident that involved Amazon S3 data and a compromised IAM user, again, all of that was within this single account, so not much complexity beyond that. Then in section 2, scrolling down here a little bit, we had basically the same setup with one key difference, which is that we were now using Athena instead of CloudTrail Lake, and we also had a different incident response scenario for Amazon EC2, but otherwise still within one single account. However, most organizations today, even smaller organizations, even some individuals like myself, are using more than one AWS account because multi-account helps not only increase security, but also helps keep things neatly organized. So running multiple accounts is very common and is often a recommended best practice. Now, what we've learned in this course can be applied to multi-account deployments, but it does require a few changes that we're going to talk about in this lesson and throughout the rest of this section. Now, in general, you want to operate each major use case in a dedicated AWS account, but what does that look like? Well, let's take a look at the AWS SRA, or Security Reference Architecture, which is their prescriptive guidance on how to run multi-account setups within AWS. Now, don't be overwhelmed by everything you're seeing on here. It's a lot of information, a lot of services going on. I'm going to break it down. We're going to keep it fairly high level and explain what's related to this course. The first thing we're going to start off by talking about is going to be organizational units, or OUs. You can see different OU names up here, like OU infrastructure, we have OU security, and so on. These are basically kind of like folders for your cloud accounts. So if you think of directories that you create on macOS, Linux, or Windows, it's kind of the same thing. You just create an OU like OU security, and within that you have multiple different accounts like this one here. But at the very, very top, we have an account that every single person on AWS has, which is the management account. This is the account that you first create when you're getting started on AWS, and it or another one that you can designate basically becomes your management account from which you can control everything else. So you can control all of your other accounts, though ideally this is also an account that you want to minimize using and you want to put as few resources into it as possible, because if it gets compromised, it will not be a good day. You can almost think of this account as your root account if you're familiar with that coming from Linux. So we're going to create multiple different accounts and we're going to organize them. Like I said, here we have an OU of security, and within that OU, we have an account called security tooling, and we also have an account called log archive. Within our security tooling account, you can see multiple different services like AWS CloudTrail. We have things like config, private CA for certificate authority, inspector. We even have AWS Security Hub, GuardDuty, Macy, Detective, KMS, and so on and so forth. This is where we manage all of our AWS security related tools. And this is also where we can give access to our security teams to control all of that stuff from a centralized account. Then we create that log archive account as a separate account that will centralize all of our logs. So again, we have CloudTrail data that's coming in here, and we've got access logs, DNS logs, flow logs, things like that are all being stored in S3 buckets within this centralized log archive account. From that point on, even though we're deploying CloudTrail here, we can now access that data. So let me change colors here. We'll do an orange, where once we have centralized logs, we're able to grab those logs. And as we'll see in a future lesson, once we set it up, we'll be able to run CloudTrail Lake from the security tooling account, grabbing information from our log archive account. And the reason we do this is because we can lock this account down. We can make sure nobody except very few people can access this data. And even once they access it, it's immutable data. They can't change it. It's their single source of truth that we know if we're accessing logs in this account, that data is 100% correct and has not been tampered with. And that data is coming from all of these other accounts that we have here, even from the security tooling account, even from the management account, and any other account that we have running in our multi-account AWS setup. So all the data is going to be centralized in here in this log archive account, and then we can query that data from something like a security tooling account, or if we have a separate account for other types of data analysis, things like that, we can also pull from there and do computations or analysis there. So that's what we're going to focus on in this course. The rest is extra. That's going to be for other courses and other content. Like for example, we have an OU of workloads over here. And within that OU of workloads, we have an app account where we're running VPCs, EC2s, application load balancers, endpoints, stuff like that. Then in this one, OU infrastructure, we have a network account. Maybe we want to centralize some of those VPCs. Maybe we want to have an inspection VPC with our network firewall in there. We want to run Shield, our web application firewall, things like CloudFront, et cetera, et cetera. And then below that, we have a shared services account, which ideally we would be running AWS IAM Identity Center from. I'm not going to do that in this course. We reserve that for another course. We can also be running managed Microsoft AD, Systems Manager, and Directory Service. So that's more of like a shared where you deploy stuff like Identity Center, and then Identity Center can deploy to your other accounts. Again, all that to remove as many services from your management account as possible. So and again, that's a lot. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. But the takeaway I want you to have from this lesson is we're going to set up our security tooling account and our log archive account, We're then going to run AWS CloudTrail Lake from that account to query data from this account. So that's it. Go ahead and complete this lesson and let's get started on building this out.